welcome to Soul Stitchers. I'm Tori.
I'm Natalia.
This is our second episode. We're excited to be back. This week, we're going to be talking about the concept of self love.
Mhm.
Quite a broad concept.
It is.
But we're going to be getting into that, what self love means, and what our personal experiences are in our own journey, where we started, where we're at now.
Yep. Funny enough, we have 46 minutes of content that we literally just did about this topic. And this is why we know it's such a broad concept and it can go all over the place.
Yeah.
And so when you are starting that self love journey, that can feel, you can feel that.
You really can.
But what we were kind of realizing is that there's kind of like two faces to the journey. And one of them can look more like self-care, taking care of the physical vessel, making time for yourself, doing things that make you feel good. And the second part, very important part, I think personally for me, it was the one that did the most impact. And it's more of the alchemy and the shadow work.
Right.
And I think it's really interesting because in the first episode, you kind of mentioned how your first time around.
Yeah, I was doing all of these things and it was just felt like nothing was working. Like I'm loving myself as hard as I can, or so I thought. And the change wasn't happening. And I
Right.
just didn't understand why. Me now looking back and growing and changing more, I could see why.
Yeah.
Because it's what you mentioned, if there's like these two sides, the more self-care side, which I think is the one that most of us are used to. This is what we see
Yeah.
shown to us. This is what most of us are talking about.
Mhm.
When we say self-love, it's kind of more the self-care. That's what I was doing back then.
Yeah.
And to clarify that a bit more, like the self-care side could be a lot of things. For example, you know, maybe taking yourself to go get a massage,
Mhm.
or buying yourself like a little treat, like some
Yeah.
skincare you've been wanting, or, you know, even maybe going to the gym
Mhm.
could be one. But that's kind of more the self care side of things.
Yeah.
Super important. But
If you don't do the other side.
yes, that self care side can only get you so far,
Right.
essentially.
But it's beautiful because it's so important too. And I think that when you're starting a journey like this, it's important to realize that you need the balance in between both.
Hmm.
Um, because maybe it sounds superficial, like getting a massage, getting your hair done, mirror affirmations, but it goes so much deeper because you're finally taking the time for yourself.
Hmm.
And that connects to your deeper alchemy work when you start to realize, where do I self abandon? You
Right.
can kind of bring it in together. So they are concepts that you have to kind of marry
Yeah, you
for it
do.
to feel like you're really actually doing this journey in the right way, because if not, you're gonna feel like that. Like maybe if you do it the opposite way of like just deep alchemy work and you're not working on your self-care, so
Yeah.
maybe you're digging deep into all of these wounds, but you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you hate what you see, you're gonna get overwhelmed, you're gonna give up.
Right. Yeah. It's like all that work is important, but yeah, if you don't have that other side of it, it
Mhm.
it presents it's a whole other type of
Right.
challenge, I think, and so it's important to figure out where you are with it, like which side are you
Mhm.
kind of giving more attention to. I think
Yeah.
it's the majority of us start on the self-care side just because
It's what's
it's
shown.
what's shown to us,
It's what's
really.
shown.
um but even if you do start at the opposite side,
Right.
everybody's so different where they kind of jump into this journey.
Mhm.
We're all jumping in at different points.
But it makes sense why most people start in the self-care.
Hmm.
Because as you were saying it, I just thought about it. But like, it's hard enough with society standards for us to take time for ourselves. The fact that like self-care is kind of like shown so much, it feels safer to work through and it feels safer to take that time.
It does, yeah.
Um, versus if you're going deep into like, I'm spending 30 minutes doing some somatic dancing, like
Right.
people are gonna be like, what are you doing?
Right.
Versus, oh, I'm doing 30 minutes to do a Pilates workout. Oh, cool.
Yes, exactly. It's way more like accepted.
Yeah. So sometimes it makes sense
It
to start
does.
there
Mhm.
because it's not gonna be as judged.
No.
And at the end of the day, you're showing yourself that you matter,
Mhm.
that taking time for yourself is plausible, that it's needed. And then eventually that will lead you into the deeper work because you'll feel that disconnect like you did
Yeah.
in the beginning of your journey.
Yeah, where I kind of just like hit a wall where I mean, I got to this point where I'm like nothing's working and then I feel like I just kind of abandoned everything because I was doing
Hmm.
the self-care but I still had the interest in the deeper stuff, but it I wasn't doing it. I was just like reading about it, like understanding and learning the concepts, but I was not practicing anything.
Yeah.
And so I was confused and I ended up just kind of abandoning all of it. Like, well,
Giving it
none
up.
of this
Be like, it
works.
doesn't work.
This is not real. None of this matters, whatever, you
Right.
know? But I think that can happen for so many people. It's like,
Hmm.
I'm doing the right things. Like, why is this not working? And that can lead you to this question of like, what's wrong with me?
Right.
Which is a very pivotal question that can lead you to the deeper side, right? Like it
Right.
can lead you to that deeper side that you do
Yes.
need to explore. But it can be an overwhelming thing to start
It can.
getting
It can.
into. Yeah.
And I think that that's why it's nice to have this episode right after a messy aligned action.
Hmm.
Um, because we can go now into detail kind of how our journeys have like progressed and
Hmm.
how they've changed. Um, but just the importance of knowing, like for anyone actually doing this for the first time, for them to know that it is two faces of it, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
And that could save them so many years. Like you went how
Oh
many
my gosh.
years without
I
coming
don't even
back
know.
into it?
Too many years.
So it's like, okay, if there's anyone in the beginning of their journey and maybe they're doing more of the self-care one and they're not doing that deep alchemy work, like not pushing you into doing it. It's as your soul is ready to
Yeah.
touch those topics. It's not easy. It's things
Mm-mm.
that we've been bearing for years. But realize, and you can start doing small things like journaling or whatever, start taking that time to dig deeper. Because if you do want a self-love journey that's going to stand triggers and relationships and
Yeah.
time, you want to make sure that you do both.
Definitely. I
And yeah.
I think it can be helpful for the way that my brain works, like
Hmm.
having things, as much as these two things are so deeply intertwined, having them kind of like separated out, like
Yeah.
for me, that is so helpful for
Okay.
me to understand that like there are these two sides. And for example, I'm really kind of heavy into the deeper work right now at this point in my life. But there are days and times where I am not at the capacity to
Hmm.
handle this.
Go
And
deep.
instead of feeling like, oh, I'm just this failure, I can't do this, like this isn't working,
Yeah.
I remember, oh, wait, there's this other side that's also still important. So maybe I can't give this side what it needs right now, but I can take a little step over here and kind of maybe just
That's yes.
focus on these things for the time being. What, maybe
That's a beautiful point.
going to the gym or just trying to get sleep at night, right? It
Hmm.
makes me feel like I'm not abandoning my
The
journey
whole journey.
altogether. So kind of not compartmentalizing but imagining them as two unique
Yeah.
things. That's been really helpful for me because you might bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
you know it sounds great to intertwine them and work with them together all the
But
time,
the reality.
but the reality is, we might have phases in
Yeah.
our life and seasons in our life where
Hmm.
it's going to look different,
It is. It
you
is. And there's
know?
going to be times where you're going to feel up to doing all that alchemy work
Yeah,
and doing that deep stuff. But there's going to be sometimes where it feels too raw. And
right.
that what you just said makes it's a beautiful point that sometimes maybe you get to that point and maybe you give up. But now knowing and realizing there's two aspects,
Hmm.
you it like lightens the journey a little bit.
Absolutely. That's how it feels. It lightens the
Yeah.
load. It's like, okay, when I'm on the side of trying to do this deeper, more challenging work, I feel like every step is a huge step.
It's huge.
But then when I come over here,
It seems so
it's
simple.
a small stop. It's small steps, but I'm still going forward.
Yes.
Rather than just choosing to sit down and give up on the steps.
Give up.
It's a nice way to feel like, okay, I am still progressing.
I'm still moving forward.
Yeah. And I think it's important to recognize that because I personally have gone through, I'm just trying to push forward, keep pushing forward as hard as I can, and learning to recognize those times where, okay, I need to take a pause on this.
Right. Yeah, because you don't want to hit a wall.
Yeah. You don't want to push yourself into a burnout or explode your nervous system. Right.
Yeah, that's deep. And as we were talking about that, I just thought about a different thing, and it just makes sense of why those two aspects exist. And I just thought of the sentence that says, "You're a spiritual being having a human experience," right?
It's a good
and
one.
So it makes total sense. The spiritual being is that deep alchemy work to get that oneness, get that self-love, that self-worth. But we're human beings, so we got to work on that physical.
Yes.
So we have to bring it both. We have that duality for a reason.
Yes.
And I'm just now seeing it literally as such a blessing, because not only does it give you time to take a breath from the spiritual and focus on the fact that you have a body, you have a physical body, you feel things, you can move. Like, that's why we were given the body.
Right. Yeah.
So I just had to say it because it just kind of came full circle, and I was like, oh my God, like that's why the self-love journey is these two. Maybe we can even change it from like self-care to the more physical, and alchemy to the more spiritual.
Yeah, exactly. That makes me think of, there's this quote. I'm gonna mess up the quote. Don't come for me. But it's in a book that's talking about, your spiritual journey and really kind of like diving deep into these concepts, that can be challenging, and wanting to really kind of, once your eyes are open to this kind of like more spiritual world, you want to just go all in on that. Yes. But there's a quote, it says something like, you can do all of that, but like, don't ever forget your zip code.
Okay.
And it's basically saying like, okay, that's great, but you still live here in this body on this planet. And as much as all these systems that we're in can be frustrating, and you have this desire to just want to escape all of these systems, that's not the point.
Right.
Like, we could have easily been anything else in the world.
We could have decided not to be humans.
We could have, but earth. We were in this body with this consciousness, in this experience for a reason. Yeah. So learning to integrate the physical human side of things to the spiritual side. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And it really does make the experience so much more, it's just so faceted and so many different things. And it's beautiful to find how you can mix those together, but it's also beautiful how you can then feel one aspect more than the other. Because I think, like you said, sometimes we can get stuck in the spiritual side and wishing we weren't in the situations that we're in, and then you stop living.
Yeah.
And that's not the point either.
That's not the point.
Like, you want to be in the now, you want to be in your body, you want to be in this physical vessel that can feel, that can taste, that can see.
Absolutely.
And it just makes the journey a little harder at times.
It does.
So much more beautiful.
It does. It's really important though, because as great as it seems to kind of, again, exist in like this spiritual realm, and all of that, we can only be of so much help to each other when we get kind of stuck there, and that happens to people. I had a phase where I was really struggling with that, of like, why can't everybody see what I see?
Yeah.
And, being so frustrated of like, I feel like I'm living in this whole other reality from everyone else. And that was so frustrating of, everybody just should get to where I am, but
Mhm.
then that's not the point. Like,
No.
it is a challenge to try to teeter that line almost of like
It
these two worlds and
is.
these two realities. It's very hard, but I feel that's kind of the point for
It
those of us who
is.
feel drawn to this is we're kind of meant to be that in between of
Yes.
I'm not up here or over here trying to like force everybody to come to me. I'm in the in
Mhm.
between of, okay,
A
we
balance.
can help each other get to this place or learn how to live in harmony between these two
Right.
realities, which that's challenging.
And
That's really challenging.
yeah, it is. I think something just came to me as you were saying that, but it's the beauty of finding that balance. And I think the fact that we have that duality between the physical and the spiritual, and when we find the balance in that in our own selves,
Yes.
the universe will start reflecting that same beautiful balance of duality back.
Hmm.
And the bigger thing on this is, we kind of spoke on it in the last episode of like raising your vibration
Hmm.
and being able to give from a full cup
Yes.
and being able to really just be like in this oneness and spread this unconditional love, like that will affect everything.
Absolutely.
But it starts with you,
It
and it
does.
starts here. And as simple as it sounds,
Hmm.
as crazy and simple as like, I'm just gonna spend 5 minutes doing my Korean skincare. And then next week, you know what? Maybe I'll touch in on some deep abandonment wounds. Like,
Right. Yeah.
it may seem so silly, but it's going to make all the difference for yourself. And then it's going to reflect to everyone around you.
Yeah. It's taking the time and putting in the effort to truly love yourself is the most impactful thing you
You
can
can
do
do.
with this life that you have.
Yeah.
And I love it so much because it's, to me, it supersedes all things that we might get caught up in. We touched on last week of like if you use the phrase God or you
Hmm.
talk about the universe or source or maybe a different religion, right? This self-love thing to me supersedes all of that,
Yeah.
right? Because it is so universal to all of us,
Yeah.
and truly loving yourself is the most spiritual thing you really can do,
Hmm.
regardless of your beliefs.
Yeah.
Because when you do, like you said, you take that time for you, you are just existing, operating from such a pure place.
Hmm.
When we have this unshakable foundation within ourselves, then we're in a place to truly give to others
From such a
from
beautiful
from a good
place.
place that doesn't run out.
Right.
Right? We're not overextending, over giving
No.
because we've done the work to have a cup that we refill
That's,
on our
yep.
and again it kind of helps dissolve those like barriers that we have. Is
Yeah.
like I might not have the same ideologies as you and your viewpoint, but I can still extend this love I have from within me to
To
you.
you.
And that's how it should be,
Right.
right? So it's like self-love, I think most people get caught up in that one side of
And no,
in the self-care
there.
side, and because of that we don't understand how deeply powerful self-love is.
Right.
Because if you only have that understanding of it, well, yeah, what is my skincare going to do for the
Right.
world?
No. And then you're,
When you think about it like that, it's
yeah.
like it's silly, it doesn't matter,
No.
but it's a piece of this
Yeah, and then
bigger
you stay
thing.
stuck in the physical. So like we were talking about the two faces of the self-love journey. We thought it would be really cool to go into our personal
Hmm.
experiences so that we can see like the differences.
Right.
Because not everyone's journey is going to look the same,
Hmm.
and you shouldn't compare, and your journey is going to evolve with you. Things are going to fall off, things are going to come on. Um, Things that maybe you were doing for years suddenly don't feel like they resonate. Let that happen. Let that drop. Don't beat yourself up because you've done something for years and all of a sudden it doesn't resonate with your soul anymore. It
Hmm.
just means it outgrew that space and there's a new modality waiting to come, but you need to make that space available.
Hmm.
So that journey is going to look very different, very individual for each person, but I think sharing our experiences would be kind of cute
Yeah,
and
definitely.
nice. And do you want to start or do I start?
Sure, I
Okay.
can start. So my self-love journey started about 12 years ago when, oh gosh, going on 13 years ago actually. I was 20 and I had no idea what it meant. But I was introduced to I was actually looking back, I was kind of introduced to both sides of it at the same time that I didn't understand through a
Hmm.
friend that I had who was very impactful. But she kind of showed me the self-care side, right? Of, you know, taking care of your skin or, maybe buying yourself nice things or that it's okay to want to spend that time and that money maybe on yourself,
Hmm.
which was very new to me. And at the same time also introduced me to different types of concepts with spirituality, which was all super new for me, um, coming from how I was raised. And so I was introduced to all of this at the same time, and it was a lot of information all at once. The self care side obviously came a little bit easier. It was more
Yeah.
fun, to be honest. And I was really interested in learning about all these spiritual concepts, but I wasn't actively practicing anything.
Hmm.
I didn't understand what that meant. So I was just trying to gain all this knowledge. I kind of went along with that for a little while, but it wasn't really sticking. I kind
Yeah.
of thought that self love was something that you just did or didn't have.
Okay.
Looking back now, thinking about it, I didn't understand that it actually took work, especially that deeper side.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. And I thought it was just something that would happen.
Hmm.
And of course, that's not how that works. And I ended up finding myself frustrated with the spirituality side. It
Yeah.
wasn't working. Again, looking back, is because I wasn't actually doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
knowing the concept doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
So I abandoned everything kind of. And, I still had kept the self care side a little bit, but I was just not taking care of myself in any way at all. Like I was not in a good place for many, many years, fell into some really bad, destructive habits. And it wasn't until I hit a true rock bottom in my
Hmm.
life that I decided, well, let's try therapy. Like
Yeah.
all the stuff I've been doing isn't working. Let me try that. So going to therapy was like my first, well, my next step in loving myself, right?
Hmm.
That was a huge step for me. And over those years through the therapy, my therapist helped me a lot with, okay, here's how we actually take care of ourselves,
Yeah.
and kind of building on that in many different ways. From, okay, you have to actually get sleep at night, you need to feed yourself, you need to go look at the sun, learning that side while also kind of slowly starting to introduce these deeper concepts. And that took years of doing that. And I graduated therapy, which, is great to do. You get to a point where you're like, okay, I have the
Yeah.
skills. And then I felt like I was kind of back at the same place I was previously,
Mm.
where I'm like, wait, I'm done. I've done all these things. Why do I still not feel right? Like, what is happening here? And it was because the therapy was helping. It's a very in your head thing, right? It's
Hmm.
helping you rearrange your thoughts, make sense of them, and that's important work.
Yeah.
And just taking the time every week to go to a therapist, right? That's a form of self love. But it was like, okay, I got the self care, I got the physical body, I took care of my brain, right? But something's still missing here.
Hmm.
So why am I still not feeling right? And more years passed. It wasn't until 2 years ago now, I was reintroduced through some experiences to kind of like more spirituality again, and
Hmm.
really kind of learning to dig into these deeper wounds. So over the past 2 years, that's what I've been going through. And now I'm at the place where I'm kind of trying to take all those pieces throughout my life and actually bring them all together into one unified thing
Right.
now of like, okay, here's the physical, here's the mental, here's the spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm at the place where I'm starting to explore the deep self-love in the sense of facing all the parts of myself that I do not like,
Right.
the parts of myself that I am constantly running from my whole
Mm-hmm.
life. That type of self-love, which is probably the hardest of all of the things I've
Yeah.
done so far. That's kind of where I'm at currently. And sometimes I look back and think, oh my God, I can't believe this took me 12, almost 13 years. And I'm like, oh, what would life have been like if I had figured this out sooner? Of course, everything has to happen the exact way it
It
does to
does.
get you to where you are now. So I'm
Yeah.
accepting of that now, that it had to happen the way that it did. And it's also kind of exciting. Well, if I'm at this place now, my 30s,
Mm-hmm.
where else do I have to go?
Right.
Some people don't get to this point.
Some people,
They never
yes.
get to this point. So it's um, grateful for
Yeah.
the way things have happened for me. And now, again, I'm at this place where I'm learning to integrate all of it to then be able to dig even deeper,
Right.
know?
And doing all that while navigating the loss of a long-term relationship.
Yes.
So, of
Yeah.
course, it was
And then
literally,
the loss of a very close loved one too at the
yeah,
same time. So that's been the
that was
real
the
big.
catalyst.
Those two events were the catalyst to like,
It's time.
okay, yeah, well, I have to. At this point, it's like I have to figure this self-love thing out, or else
It's time to lock
I'm
in.
not going to survive. Yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise I can't handle any more life events. Like
Right.
we're maxed out on life events.
Sometimes that happens.
And
Sometimes it has to be like that. It's like,
yeah, sometimes life has to really kick you down, to because it's like sometimes it does get to that point.
yeah.
I think for me, I've always kind of felt that life or the universe, whatever you want to call it, will present you with these opportunities
Mm-hmm.
to get you to
On the
maybe
path.
on the path or on the path of taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And you can ignore it for so long.
We
And
have
then
free will.
eventually I think it comes to a point where it's going to force it. And I
Yeah.
think that's what happened to me. And it's happened to me many times in my life, even when I was younger.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't see it. It's not real. And then, well, now it's very real.
Like, here's your tower moment.
Yeah, and so
We're
that's
destroying everything.
right. And that's
Yeah.
another part of my self-love that I'm in right now, of learning to trust myself when I recognize
Mm-hmm.
those moments. Yes, I know what I see, and I'm
Right.
willing to face it,
Yeah.
But that's a hard thing to do, of course.
No, of course.
Yeah.
No, but that's beautiful. And sometimes it has to be like that. I feel like sometimes your soul can only take so much before it's ready to, like, okay, this is
Mhm.
the last straw. This is it. It needs to change. We're not doing this anymore. And
Yeah.
your soul has to reach that point because you have to want for this to stick,
Mhm.
you have to want to feel that oneness. You have to want to feel good in your body, in your soul, in your mind.
Mhm.
Because it's not a journey that is sunshine and rainbows.
Absolutely not.
But it doesn't have to be horrible either. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to be waiting for the tower moments to come and hit your life.
Right. Yes.
So it's not. You can start it at whatever point.
Mhm.
You can show the universe. You can show your soul that you're ready for it at whatever point. You don't have to wait for the universe to destroy your whole life
Yeah,
for you to
please don't.
realize.
Honestly, don't do it.
But
Get ahead of it now.
But some people need that. Like, you
Yeah,
needed.
me, I'm stubborn. I got to learn my lessons the hard way
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
So for mine, I think mine was triggered more. Again, it started when I was 28, and I think why it started was my family. My parents were going through like a separation, and all my life I'd kind of always been in the middle of that relationship. And so in those 9 months that they separated, it was really hard. And it was really hard. I had to be there for my mom, and I put her on a self-love journey. And what was interesting, when I was right, like I was about to turn 29, I was like, I have to go on my own self-love journey. But my whole 28 was guiding my mom on her own self-love journey without me going on a self-love journey. Sounds fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
it's interesting.
and I think that that's where we come into like giving from an empty cup.
Absolutely.
Like when I give advice now, it feels so different than it did when I was giving the advice at 28. It was still good advice. It
Right.
was like the basic of like self-care and those things
Yeah.
that we know. But like who the heck was I to be telling my mom how to love herself when
Right.
I didn't? So
Yeah.
finally, like in the middle of going through that with my mom, I realized, ooh, I should probably go on my own.
I should take my own advice.
I should take my own
Yeah.
advice. So funny enough, I was kind of the opposite. I caused all the tower moments in my life. I started my self-love journey at 29 because I said I wanted to turn 30 and I wanted to feel really good in my body. So my self-love journey started very self-care vibe. It started with taking the time to do my nighttime routine. And then from there, it started to incorporate Pilates. And then from there, it started to do meditation. And in that process, I realized all of the hobbies that I had lost throughout the years of being with my ex-husband, and I started to gain them back. And I was like, oh, I'm going to start reading again. I'm going to start doing this again. And slowly and surely, I started to heal the codependency that I had created between me and my ex-husband. And I got to a point where I realized that I didn't need him. And he wasn't bringing anything into my life. And I was able to go like into the spiritual like woo woo stuff at the end. And it didn't feel like he was judging, but I didn't feel like I could actually spread my wings in that home. And I remember one night just laying in bed and I kind of just realized I had a conversation with my ex-husband. It was like a fight on something that had never worked for us in our relationship. And he was kind of like, yeah, well, this is what it's going to be. I remember that night laying in bed and I felt like a caged bird. And I was like, he thinks he caged me, but I have the key. Like, I don't need to be married.
Right.
I don't have any children with him. I don't need this. And so I caused my own tower moment. And I told him I wanted a divorce. And the moment I said that out loud, I realized how true it was and how I was just holding in so many things. And I couldn't fully really embark on my self-love journey in that relationship because that relationship had a lot of like emotional cheating and things like that. And while in the process of rebuilding our marriage, when that first happened, like I forgave him and I moved on. And I saw that people can change, which I think is something I needed to see because all my life I had kind of seen my parents' relationship. But I grew resentful towards myself for staying. And as I was working on my self love, as I was working on my mirror affirmations, as I was feeling confident, as I was bringing in all my hobbies and not needing my ex husband, because it was such a big form of codependency, I started to realize, okay, this last thing that's holding me from like really going deep into this journey is the fact that I'm still in this marriage. And I hate that I'm in this marriage. And so it was really hard because he wasn't a bad guy. And, you know, like we got along, we were friends. But he wasn't the partner that I needed. And so that was another form of self love for myself because I think early on, I had so much love to give. And so in the beginning of the relationship, like because I had so much love to give and I was giving love, it didn't matter that I wasn't getting what I needed back. And once I started my self-love journey, I realized, no, I matter. And I'm not going to be coming into a relationship without my cup being full myself, but I'm not going to be in a relationship where I'm removing from my cup and where I'm not getting anything back.
Hear that?
Yeah. So from there, going through divorce, then after that, I met that soul connection. And when I met the soul connection, that's when my deep alchemy started. This person just triggered and mirrored back to me all of the wounds that I still had around abandonment, around love being like performance, out of not being enough. And it was the last 8 months that it's been deep alchemy work. But in the beginning, it did start with more of that self-care, dancing, mirror affirmations. And now it's kind of progressed to the point where I still do Pilates every day. I still dance. But I'm like recently, like this past month, I've realized I've stopped the mirror affirmations. I will still look in the mirror, and because I have like my little picture of who I see when I'm healing my inner child. So I looked for a picture of myself, and that's who I view. So I'll still look in the mirror, obviously, when I'm doing my nighttime routines, but it's not the same mirror affirmations because it's just, I no longer need them. I believe it. And that's kind of where it is right now. I've done a lot of abandonment wound healing. I've done a lot of like sacral, sexual healing. And I think what I'm looking for next is just kind of, that's where this fire started to build of like, how can I help people? And that's how this came about. Right. Because I think in the next stage that I'm at, I've gotten to a point where I have a full cup, right, and I can help people, and I can really reflect to them the importance and how beautiful it is. And it's a hard journey, but it's such a beautiful journey, and it's so fulfilling, and it's inspiring for everyone around you. And it can start literally as simple as mirror affirmations. That's how it started for me.
You started with the mirror affirmations, which makes me think of how we talked about we can't really compare ourselves to anybody else's journey.
Because yours didn't.
Yeah, because when I tried to do affirmations, I didn't do mirror, but just positive affirmations in general. That was like introduced to me early on, and then also kind of like in the middle too. And it did not work for me at all. It didn't work for me at that time. Now, this year is when the second half of this year, actually. Yeah, the second half of this year is now I've been kind of incorporating them more. And I think it's because when our brains are powerful, right? Yeah. Like, the information that we give it, it can take it and run with it. And that's really cool. You can use that to your advantage. But the thing is, our brains are also really smart too. And so depending on where you're at with that, when I was introduced to affirmations, I was at deep in the trenches, like in so many ways. I was just unhappy. And because I had such low self-worth and self-image, what I was trying to verbalize to myself was so far off from my current reality. My brain would not accept it. It would not take that information in. It's like it was not possible, and that kind of was really hard for me because I couldn't physically handle it like the way that it felt when I did it, and it didn't do anything for me. So that kind of made me feel like so even worse. Yeah. Like, because I had a friend too that would do it, and
you're like, you don't get it. She's loving it.
I'm like, why is this working for her? Why can't I do this? Like, what's wrong with me? And that triggered my poor self-image even more. Yeah. And now I'm at the place where I can understand that not everything's going to resonate with you, and it also might not resonate with you at certain points in your journey too, right? And so you have to accept that if you try something out and you feel like, okay, I don't think this is working for me, that's okay.
Revisit it.
Revisit it later. It's fine. There is a
or never. Maybe
or
it's
never.
not yours.
There's a million things that you can try.
Yeah.
So if you have people in your life, or even you hear things that we say that we do, and you try it and you're like, wow, I hate this is awful, okay, that's fine.
Right.
Like, I think you kind of get to the point once you're into it far enough that you're able to distinguish, oh, this feels bad and I should dig into that more. And oh, this feels bad because it just doesn't align with me.
Yes,
and that's a hard one. That's a hard one. That's something that I'm still kind of like working through at different things of that comes along with learning to trust yourself, which is tied into self-love, of course. But you're on your own. It sounds so cheesy, but like we're on our own journeys.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing.
It is.
Right?
It is. And I think when you say, like, obviously for certain people, certain things will work. And when they're expressing it to you and you see that excitement and, you're like, wait, it should work for me too.
Right.
And it's just like that comparison. Just leave it at the door. Leave it at the door.
Try your best. Be curious about other people.
Yes, of course.
Be curious about the options or the things that they're doing, but
do what feels right.
Yeah, it's not like a personal failing if it doesn't work for you. Like,
and there's no outline to it.
There's not.
That's why it's tough because it's not like there's this course on you do this, 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 and this, and you get to this self-love and this self-worth that no one can mess with. No, it's not like that. And you evolve with it. Your journey evolves with you. And it's beautiful to have that open mind to hear what other people are doing, to hear what's working for them, what's not working for them. But at the end of the day, you need to do what feels good for you. Like, just because maybe everyone is doing mirror affirmations or maybe everyone is doing yoga, that doesn't mean that it's going to be for you.
Exactly. It's really trial and error.
It is. And it's fun.
Yeah.
And it can be so simple, and it can start very simple. Like, it doesn't have to be, as deep as like I'm going and I'm doing Reiki healings and I'm doing sound baths. And we can go into not our recommendations, but things that we did just to see if maybe there's anything that resonates with you, anything that piques your interest that maybe you want to do more research about. I've done, obviously I said the meditation. I've done meditation. I've done dancing. Dancing has been really important. And I think for me, it's just kind of moving that emotion out.
Oh, yeah.
Physical, like doing yoga, doing Pilates. I take naps with freaking Tibetan sound bowls.
I love that.
Like,
that's a good sleep right there.
Yeah. I
love that.
I work from home and I have an hour lunch, and after I eat and I hang out outside, I literally will go into my room in the dark, get under the covers, and turn on that sound healing music, and I freaking love it. That. I go on a lot of walks. I have my dog, but I go on a lot of walks, and when I go on my walks, I do this it's very intentional. Like, I open up my energy and I send any heaviness from the day, any heaviness that doesn't belong to me, I send it to the earth to transmute it. And it just helps me. It just makes me feel like I'm not in the journey alone. Like, the earth and the stars and the moon are helping me along. And maybe that's just my whimsy, like, fairy.
But again, whatever works for you.
But it works for me, So it might not work for you, but maybe you get out there and just getting in the sun reconnects you to, like feeling the warmth. Maybe that alone does that, makes you feel like you're not alone. Like, you feel warm, you feel, cater it to yourself. These are just kind of starting points, things that we've done. But again, like you said, it's just trial and error.
It is, yeah. I feel like you just have to try things. The things that have been the most consistent for me across the whole time has been like writing and journaling. That's something that's been with me even before I was aware of
Yeah.
self-love. I've always loved to write, and that's just been a way that I naturally like to process and express
Mhm.
myself. So journaling has been great for me, and that goes into there's so many different types of journaling and self-reflection that you can do too. Um Recently been writing poetry to kind of like
Mhm.
release things. Um Various times with physical movement. Like I love working out. I like going to the gym. Like I should do it more, but when I am in that place where I'm doing that, like because for me, I've realized that a part of what is a challenge for me is I have what feels like an overabundance of energy inside of my body, and I feel that if you don't know what to do with that, it can become your downfall.
Mhm.
Speaking from experience, like all that energy just trapped inside of you and you don't do anything with it,
Yeah.
especially if like I have a desk job, you know? So it's like if I'm not moving that energy through me,
Yeah.
then it turns into this like
Stagnant.
everything's terrible, overwhelming. So
Mhm.
kind of being physical in really any capacity, doing aerial, that was like such a big thing for me
Mhm.
too, learning to accept what it feels like to have people look at you.
Yeah.
That's like its own whole thing of being seen. Performing from a place that's good for you,
Yeah.
as far as like literal performance, like for the
Mhm.
art form, not performing for people.
Right, right, right.
And breath work too. That's one
Mhm.
that I have been doing for a little while now, and it's it's one of those things that for me, when I first started doing it, I thought it was BS. I was like,
Yeah.
this is so stupid, to be honest. Like, I tried it.
Mhm.
I'm like, this is dumb. This doesn't work. And it's, I think we have to kind of be realistic with ourselves is like, this little task that I'm going to do is not going to fix me.
Right.
And I think I was just thinking that, oh, if I just do
Like all
some,
I'm doing is breathing.
I'm
What
just
is
breathing, I'm going to be fine now. Right.
Yeah.
And so even that I rejected at first. I was like, that's stupid.
Mhm.
I'm not doing that. And through years of just like growth, maturity, life experience, I now understand more what the point of the breath work is.
Mhm.
It's not fixing my thoughts or my life, but it's allowing me to reconnect with my body
Yeah.
because we live in our heads so much. So doing the breath work has been helpful. I recently have gotten into the EFT tapping.
Mhm. Yeah, we had
I
talked about
like
that.
that. I like that one as well too. And for me, the biggest one that I'm doing right now is allowing myself to just sit with nothing going on
Mhm.
and truly check in with myself
Yeah.
because that's something that I've never done. And I've been forcing myself to do that, which sucks a lot of the time. It really does. When everything goes quiet, then everything comes up.
Right.
But kind of practice, that's how I'm currently practicing my self love is
Mhm.
allowing these really deep, uncomfortable things to surface and breathe through it and
Yeah.
show myself that I'm safe in my body. Like
Mhm.
I can experience these emotions and I can still be safe, you
Mhm.
know? So that's kind of where I'm currently at. But there's
And then
so many
there
things.
is
Really, the list is
it is
endless, you
endless. It
know?
is endless. Um, but it's a good starting point
Yeah,
just to kind of see if any of these things do resonate, if you can add those 5 minutes into doing that into your day.
right.
Um, Eventually the path will kind of unfold. You
Yeah,
know,
it
you'll
does.
you'll feel called to certain things. You'll feel pulled to do this research, or you'll feel called to read this certain book, and things will start to click, and things will come into your life. People will start talking about something and be like, huh, okay.
Hmm.
Um, because once you start taking that step forward, like we said in our first episode, the universe wants you to get there. It wants you to do that. So um, these different modalities and things and interest and conversations will start coming up into your life,
Hmm.
and they'll give you like a little roadmap of where to head in your journey.
I think even the self love concept in general, something that I've been realizing is that that alone can be the journey. That can
Mhm.
be the constant in your life. maybe you don't, from like a general life perspective, maybe you don't know where you're going as far
Right.
as, career, family, where you want to live, those types of things. Maybe you don't know what that looks like for you,
Mm-hmm.
or what the future holds. And that can be daunting and
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming, especially when it comes to feeling the pressures
Of
of
society.
society or your family, your
Yeah.
friends, whatever it may be. And for me, focusing on the self love kind of helps me feel more at peace with that unknown. I
Yeah.
might not know where I'm going in the sense of life, jobs, whatever it may be, but I know that if I focus on my self-love and taking care of myself, that I I will be able to handle whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever phase and journey that I go through in life, I know that this is like my constant. This is my foundation, and it's been taking that pressure off for me, really.
I think that's beautiful, and it just kind of shows how really taking that moment really puts you in the presence of the present moment, of the
Yeah,
now, of really the only thing that we do have.
absolutely.
Um, so even if it sounds as silly as taking 5 minutes to listen to your favorite song and dance in front of the mirror, realize that in those 5 minutes, you are in that moment. You are
Yeah.
in your body. You are
Oh
not
yeah.
worried about what you have to do tomorrow, what career you're going towards.
Mhm.
Like, you're literally just present
Yes.
physically in your body. And as crazy as that sounds, being present is that spiritual aspect. So it's so simple. It sounds so simple, but it's so easy to see how they're so interconnected.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe it's just starting something as simple as that, and then you'll find that you freaking love doing it.
Right.
And at first, it might be weird.
It's going to be weird. It's not
Yeah,
really
yeah,
lovely.
it will be weird. Well, you'll start to get way more comfortable in it. You'll start to
Mm.
get way more comfortable in your body, in your mind,
Mhm.
and that is the whole part. It's kind of reparenting yourself, reestablishing your nerve paths
Oh
in your
yeah.
brain, and taking you out of that trauma, those triggers, the past, and bringing you into this oneness, into the now,
Mhm.
which at the end of the day is all that we have. And when we live from that aspect, when you get to the point where you can live from that aspect,
Yeah.
it is so freeing.
Mhm.
And I think it's such a privilege that we can do that, you know?
Absolutely. It really is a privilege to be able to even just sit here and talk about all of these things,
To be like, hey,
and
like do skincare,
right, yeah,
yeah, because we're not sitting
yeah, we're not
in
out.
a
We have privileged lives in
yeah.
general, and not everybody has that. And we do recognize that, you know, many people are literally just
Surviving.
surviving in the
Hmm.
truest sense of like,
Hmm.
working three jobs,
Yeah.
maybe not knowing if they have enough to eat, maybe not
Hmm.
having a really safe place to sleep at night, or so many different things that could be going on where you physically, mentally, emotionally do not have the capacity to explore these concepts. And that's okay if
Hmm.
that's where you're at. We've talked about like in psychology, there's this thing called Maslow's hierarchy of
Yep.
needs. Look that up. It's really interesting. And it's essentially a pyramid where you kind
Hmm.
of have to, they say you have to master each level. That's not always how it goes. It's not that simple, but the foundation of the pyramid is surviving,
Right.
having a safe place to live, having food, water,
Hmm.
shelter, essentially. And the top is kind of like, I think it's self actualization, or some people would
Hmm.
say enlightenment, whatever.
Right.
I can't jump to the top of the pyramid if I'm literally
Stuck there.
starving
Right.
down here. It's
Yeah.
not possible.
No.
And it ties back into what we mentioned about there being the two sides, the physical body kind of,
Hmm.
and then the more spiritual side of things. So you might think, well, how can I do any of this? Like, I can't go do yoga. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have access to therapy, whatever it is. That's okay.
Yeah.
We might be at the bottom of the pyramid. And a lot of us too, something that I experienced is you might go up and then come back down. I've gone back to the bottom of that pyramid more times than I can even count in my adult life. And that's okay. It's just recognizing where you are.
Right.
And understanding that any type of care that you're giving to yourself is important. And maybe that care is just making sure that you're acquiring food somehow.
Yeah.
That's okay. That is important, just as important as anything else.
I think the other side of it is also like, for people that are like really like empaths, it can feel a little guilty that like, oh, here I have a place where I'm safe. I'm not in a place where there's any war, any crime, and I have all this time to be able to take care of myself and to do these things and to go deep into my alchemy work. And sometimes we get into this point where we're like, you realize that you want everyone to reach that because you know how beautiful it feels and you know how fulfilling. And it's hard to see where the world is at and know that not everyone has a chance to feel that because they're stuck on
some people might
hoping
not ever get out of that.
They wake up the next day. And I think that the only thing that we can do is realize the privilege of the moment that we have now and the fact that we can do this work for ourselves, because eventually, as you raise your vibration, as you love yourself, as you're able to give to more people, it starts to spread. And at the end of the day, it is a collective thing. It is a personal thing, but it's a collective thing. And if maybe you need to tell yourself, like, for you not to feel guilty for working on yourself, you need to tell yourself, like, hey, like, you know, if I do this, like, I'll raise the vibration, I'll bring more unconditional love into the earth, and eventually it'll reach there. It will, because it literally is that ripple effect. It's that snowball effect. Just how your self-love journey is a snowball effect, like you adding these little things, and it just becomes this huge thing where all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I get it. I'm here at the spot. It is the same way. We're all interconnected. We're all interconnected. And it may seem like, oh, we're being selfish. We're out here. We're doing this. And there's so many people who are starving and who are dying. We can't fix that right now.
Right.
But we can love ourselves. We can love everyone around us. We can find that oneness within us, and we can only do all of those things when you love yourself, when you have that full cup.
Absolutely, because it impacts so many areas of your life, and I think when you take that time to care for yourself, you show up in everything better, right? And it's like we don't know that maybe through all of us out here who are just working on this self-love, that then allows us to go down a path where we are able to make maybe more of like a literal impact on people. We can actually start making change in these people's lives who are struggling and surviving. But it's, how do you even get there if you can't take care of yourself? Like people use that reference of like when you're on the airplane and like you have to put your mask on. It's true, because it's like,
it is.
How can you give to everybody else in the world when you got this empty cup? I'm like, I can give, but then it's like this exhausting cycle of like I somehow managed to get something in my cup, and then I immediately give it all away, and then I'm spending so much time just recovering, trying to get back to that baseline again. It's not sustainable, and we can't make sustainable, impactful change in other people's lives and in the world until we address this within ourselves.
Kind of to just wrap up the episode, and kind of the biggest things and takeaways kind of is the bases of that self-love journey, self-care plus the more spiritual alchemy, deep shadow work. The fact that just starting simple is enough.
It is.
Um,
Just
that,
learning to show up for yourself.
yeah, that you can be selfish, that you can do this for yourself, and that it's not an easy journey, but it is so fulfilling
Mm-hmm.
and is so beautiful,
Yeah,
and it's worth it
it is.
because you are worth it. Like you're worth feeling that oneness,
Mm-hmm.
that now living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful,
It is.
and as you go through the journey, maybe there'll be points where you do feel that oneness and you do feel like you're in the now, and then there'll be moments where you don't. Um, you're not always going to be in this high of like, whoa, like the universe and oneness. And we're still, again, we still have that human side. We still have that
Yeah.
physical side. There's still going to be situations and triggers and things that come up, but it's all about creating a base so that you can handle all of those things from such a better place.
Absolutely. It's kind of like, I think learning to love yourself is like building resilience in the human experience
Mm-hmm.
too. Because then once you show up for yourself and you show yourself that you matter, it builds your confidence and then you feel like you can handle anything because
Yeah.
you can, but you really have to again get that foundation first. And it's important to give yourself grace throughout this journey because I mean it's also never going to end. Like this journey lasts through your entire life. There's no place to arrive to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there's going to be so many different things that happen to us and where we might be here and then we take a couple steps back or maybe something happens and we stop working on it entirely, right? As long as you keep coming back to yourself, no matter how many times you need to do it, that's what really matters. And remembering that like the little change does add up, even if it doesn't feel like it. You just have to trust, keep keep showing up for yourself even in the tiniest of ways, and it will add up to a really big change.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's the end of this episode on self-love. You can always reach out to us through our email if you have questions, really anything you'd like to share. It is a safe, secure space. We won't share anything
Unless you want us
unless,
to.
yeah, if you want us to, cool. But
We can do it anonymously.
we'll assume that it's not meant to be shared. But our email is soul.stitcher, no S, 2025 @gmail.com. Of course, you can find us on all the socials as well: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and of course, Spotify. But we will see you guys next week. Bye.